radio and back here. The cops ain't likely to catch up with us, not tonight. So we can all be quiet and peaceable and listen to the music.
What's up, automotive community? This is Dave Villa
and Dave Cribs,
and you're listening to Auto Dealer Live. It's 3:30 on Thursday, and like always, we're sitting right here behind this desk, bringing you the heat.
Bringing the heat, baby.
From the auto industry, man. I'm so fired up. I am so fired up, man, about today's show. What's next?
What's next? What's coming? What is the retail automotive space going to look like 2 years from now, 3 years from now, maybe 6 months, maybe 5 years? Who knows?
I'm nearsighted, right?
But I want to know what's coming.
I'm nearsighted. I wear actually need glasses, so these are real, okay? And I'm nearsighted, so if I take these suckers off, man, and I drive down the road, okay, I can see in front of me, but I'm squinting to see signs. I'm squinting to see what's next, Dave. I'm squinting to see what's down the road beyond a block. But I'm going to tell you something. When I put these suckers on, my perspective comes into play, baby, and I can see what's next. Today, the automotive community's perspective comes into line because we have an outstanding, dynamic, freaking unbelievable cast of superstars on Auto Dealer Live.
It's off.
Boom.
It's off the chain. We do have an all-star cast today. We've got some new exciting guests that you've never seen before, and then some amazing guests that have been on the show with us that you're going to absolutely love. We searched and we thought about who we're going to bring on, Dave, that could really have maybe the best perspective to tell us what is coming.
Absolutely. Today's tweeter leader. Listen, get on Twitter. We're already, I think, almost, if not already, trending. Listen, I'm anticipating by the overwhelming response that we've gotten, the questions and the emails that we've gotten all through the afternoon, that we have a freaking huge crowd watching this, and we want to thank you guys. We're so excited and so fired up that you're joining us today. Listen, jump on Twitter, put the hashtag AutoDealerLive into your phone, and tweet your thumbs off. I want to break Twitter, okay, today. I want to trend up there with freaking, I want like Donald Trump to know what Auto Dealer Live is. Wouldn't that be cool, man?
Right. I want his team calling us for
Wouldn't that be cool if he had his hat on and all of a sudden he's talking, he's like, let me tell you, Auto Dealer. He didn't even know why he's saying it, but on Twitter somehow, man, it just kind of sneaks up in there. Wouldn't that be cool?
We need to allocate some funds to Auto Dealer Live, $2 billion.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's what I'm thinking.
Hey, listen. Here's what we're going to give you. Okay, today's tweeter leader. You see this microphone? This is metal, man. This is cool as heck.
That's a hard mic.
This is cool as the other side of the pillow right here. This is awesome. Listen, we're going to give you a vintage Auto Dealer Live microphone to the top Twitter. Yes, sir. You want one of those, don't you?
Yes.
You want one.
How do I get it?
You get it, baby.
I'm going to start tweeting. You'll have to talk.
You get a Twitter. You get an actual vintage Auto Dealer Live metal microphone for your desk. The top influencer today. So come on, man. Let's tweet this sucker. I know the next up. I know Clint Burns, man, with all that vintage automotive stuff. You want an Auto Dealer Live mic. Come on, man.
I'm going to out-tweet him.
Come on, out-tweet. You're not even on there. Here's the thing. I don't think you and I are allowed to do it, man.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we're taken off out of the system. All the marketing guys take us out of the system, so we don't influence. But listen, man, Dave, I want to talk for a couple of minutes because it's going to be literally like, I don't know what time it is, literally like, what, Mike, 5 minutes? 3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes before we bring this all-star guest panel on, and we're going to try our best to let these people talk because we've got a lot of people on the show today. And we want to give them ample time to share their hearts and share their opinions and on where and how the automotive business is trending and where it's going. So today's show, it's what's next. And when you look down at the end of the road, what I want to talk about today, I want to talk about some things that may be lighthearted. I want to talk about some things that may be controversial. I want to talk about things that are going to be agreed upon. David, I want to talk about things that are going to be disagreed upon, because what we're doing today is laying the gauntlet down, so to speak, for the auto industry. And we're asking some of the individuals that are literally on the pulse of this industry, where it's going, and we're going to actually maybe have them talk about some things I'm tired, or you're tired, or they're tired, or you're tired, audience, of hearing. And we're going to ask them, is it real? Is it legit? Where's it going? And how close are we?
Yeah, and we're going to have a lot of fun with the topic today, but at the end of the day, what this is really designed to do is allow us to walk away with some ideas of what really is coming next, so that we can be proactive, take advantage of it, be really in a spot to capitalize on what's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And and before we jump on, Mike, we will take commercial break before we get them on, because we want to make sure that we honor our sponsors, and we want you to see these cool commercials. Listen, just really quick, I want to say something. Pineapple Advertising, man, these guys did an awesome job. And also Matt Koenig, awesome job on these commercials. I'll be honest with you, man, they're freaking amazing. They're creative as heck. Yeah. And you want to check some of these things out. But Dave, really quick, man, what do you think the hottest topic is right now? The hottest thing, in your opinion, just briefly, because I know you'll probably insert it somehow into a question. Real quick, hottest thing that's coming down the pike in the auto business, in your opinion?
I think it's just the way that we're going to see more and more internet role in the dealerships. I think our internet departments are going to outnumber our sales departments eventually, and what that's going to look like, I'm sure we'll get some input today.
Awesome. And I'm pretty confident we're going to get some input today on that, because it's going to be I think that's going to be a good question. I'm interested in hearing. I hear so much, man, about vehicles and online purchasing and where this industry, and it comes a lot of times from the digital corner. And I don't mean we're all digital, and we're all in the digital age, but I want to ask the panelists today what their opinion is about that and about car purchases in the future as well, man, because here's the deal, man. Where are we at in the auto industry? And people need to drive, and I want to find out what these guys have to say about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too as well. And, after our panel, Dave, we have a special guest today as well that's going to be coming on, Christina Daves, PR for Anyone. She's going to show you how to get in the news.
Yeah, one thing I like about her story, she had a book. She has a book, that best-selling book.
Yes.
And Christina went from no PR, okay, to within 1 year being featured on over 50 media outlets. And you know what, man? I want to hear her story, because anybody that can get noticed like that, I think you want to take notes. You want to find out how you can get your brand out there. We always talk about brand, and everybody's branding themselves, So let's hear what Christina has to say. And she's going to be on right after our panel in an individual interview. So we're going to spend time with Christina after the panel. So don't go anywhere when this panel's over, because Christina's going to be bringing the heat and discussing her book. Hey, I want to go ahead and get, and we'll work this out with her. I want to get about 10 copies of that book. Can you work that out?
Yeah.
Right,
we'll talk to Christina about that.
Here's what we're going to do, okay? And we'll make sure that the ones that we purchase, and we're going to get them, the ones that we get from Auto Dealer Live, we'll have Christina buy them. Our tweeter leader today not only gets an Auto Dealer Live vintage microphone, but they're going to get an autographed copy, and we'll work it out.
Nice.
With Christina's book. And also, since we're going to purchase several of the books, the top 10 influencers on Twitter today will get a book. You won't get a microphone, just the number one will, but the top 10 are going to get a book, and we'll make sure that happens, all right?
That is awesome. If you're selling in a dealership, that is a must-have.
Absolutely. Hey, man, don't go anywhere, okay? Right around the corner, just moments from right now, the next up on Auto Dealer Live is the all-star panel discussing what's next in the auto business. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes.
He's trying to save the advertising world. He did it. He did it for your business. He is Pineapple Advertising.
Set fire to your hair. Poke a stick at a grizzly bear. Eat medicine that's out of date. Use your private parts as piranha bait. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die.
Hello, I'm Alan Ram, president and founder of Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions. Let's face it, good managers are defined not by what they do when they have a showroom full of customers, but more by what they do when there are no customers in the showroom. In 2015, whether you like it or not, the car business is all about conversion of opportunities and driving traffic. All those great closers and desk people are not doing you a whole lot of good if your dealership is not converting effectively on the telephone and internet. As an owner or dealer, when you see 5 salespeople standing by the front door doing nothing, don't kid yourself. Your dealership is not being effectively managed. Management by Fire is a 2.5-day intensive course conducted entirely by me that teaches managers how to effectively manage in today's automotive industry. Simple processes for driving high-quality traffic. For more information on upcoming events, please call my team at 866-996-4665. Once again, 866-996-4665. Thank you.
Jason Rice from Lot Pop, and let me tell you what we do to help dealerships increase used car sales 20 to 30% in gross in volume. 3 areas we focus on: trend reports. We look at weekly trends that no one else is trending to make adjustments on our inventory. 2 is we do weekly review calls to review those trends, but also we dig through every car that needs to be price adjusted to increase the searches. And 3, we do a virtual lot walk, make sure every car is standing tall in line, and make sure we don't have bad photos like these. Check out our website, lotpop.com. our blog at automotiverevolution.com, and our weekly video tips at increaseturn.com. Thanks.
Moving on here, Dave, I wanted to read a question that came into the show. This comes from a dealer viewer that states they're at 1.67 hours per repair order in the customer paid labor in their service department, are in the bottom 50% in the nation with their survey scores, and continually struggle to get their customer retention above 40%. They want to know if we know of anyone they can contact to help them with this.
Yeah, that's a great question, and the viewer shouldn't feel bad because, Dave, half of the dealers are at those kind of numbers or lower. And the great news is there is a solution. It's Jeff Cowan at Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk. Jeff is considered the creator of the modern day walk around and selling process in the service drive.
You're right. You know, Jeff is the best. The average Pro Talk customer is usually in the top 7% in the nation with survey scores, in the 80% range in customer retention, and in the 2.5 range in customer paid hours per repair order, including oil changes. That's why most consider Jeff the nation's authority when it comes to training service staffs everywhere.
Yeah, and Jeff's real easy to reach too. I mean, you can call Jeff today at 1-800-248-2931, or you can reach him through email at info@jcowensprotalk.com.
He's easy to reach and offers in-store, on-the-drive training, workshops, and virtual training as well. Call Jeff today.
Fall in love with your advertising and production. Pick the Pineapple.
All right, we're back. We're back. Did you miss us? Because I'm telling you, man, I missed being here because this is going to be an outstanding show. Hey, without further ado, we have a jam-packed panel. The next up, Dave, today on Auto Dealer Live, we have the What's Next panel, and what a panel it is. I'm going to introduce the guest and bring them on, jump right into the questioning, and then what we're going to do at the end of the panel, we're going to give everybody on the panel a chance to tell you, the dealers, you, the listeners, who they are, where they're from, and how you can reach them. So without further ado, we have on the panel Elise Kephart, we have Alan Dickey, Brad Lee, Jeff Collins, Alan Ram, Chris Saraceno, Craig Lockhart, Marsh Bice, and Corey Mosley. And if that's a panel right there.
That's it.
So we're going to try our best, guys, to referee, so to speak, and ask questions and let you guys who've taken their time to come onto this panel have as much time as possible. So I'm going to jump right into something that is really hot right now, okay? Let me ask you guys on the panel, just anybody that feels really passionate, not kind of passionate, but does anybody on the panel feel passionate about that the auto business is going strongly towards online purchasing quicker than we think? Does anybody feel passionately about that? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so
Pin
good.
drop.
Alan Ram says nope.
Alan Ram says no, but does anybody feel passionate? I know that it's all over the social media. A lot of digital marketing companies are discussing that. So does anybody feel I know the trainers are like, heck no. But, let me throw this out there then. Let's just tear apart people that aren't here, because the deal is this, man. Here's my question. Alan, since you and I have kind of had a discussion on this, so I'll start with you. Here's my question, because, man, I'm at conferences. I'm talking to people, and they always try to push people to this. Man, we're going over this edge, and everybody's got to get digital, and we're digital now. I mean, we believe in that. But here's the thing, man. I don't buy my groceries online, right? And I buy some things online, but don't you think, Alan, that before someone's going to purchase a $30,000 automobile without test driving it, okay, without sitting inside of it, smelling the leather, don't you think that Publix and Kroger's and Cash and Carry and Walmart and all of these companies are going to go out of business on a brick and mortar level? I mean, isn't that really the reality of this thing, that we're really far away from something like that happening?
I think it's always going to be an emotional purchase. People are always going to want to drive these things. And, as soon as I go to the mall and Nordstrom's is empty and there's no one walking around the mall, everybody's buying everything online, then I'm going to start getting concerned that people are just going to be everybody's going to be going online to buy their cars. Until that day, I'm not. Of course, you need to have an online presence, and of course, we need to accommodate people that do want to, but I don't think that remember a few years ago, salespeople were going to be obsolete. There were going to be no more salespeople at dealership. That hasn't happened.
Absolutely. Let me ask you. Go ahead.
Craig Lockhart. Those words almost give me a heart attack. So we can't say no salespeople ever, please.
Well, we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah. Well, hey, can I kind of jump in on that topic right there?
Sure. Who is this?
So, this is Jeff Collins.
Hey, Jeff.
So we want to let's talk about that label, car salesperson versus, and let me just kind of put this in there, versus a product specialist. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of components here that you see are changing in the business, and one is that staple of 100% commission, right? Mm-hmm. And while we were waiting to come on live, I was listening to some of the conversations, and Craig was talking about recruiting and the millennials and the Gen Ys. If you were that person today that has that high tech acumen, are you going to enter into the car business and say, hey, I'm going to work for 100% commission? Probably not. And especially with the margin compression from the OEMs today, it's more and more difficult to make a paycheck. It's not like it was when we first got into business 20 years ago and we were knocking 4-pounders out of the park every single day. Mm-hmm. It's very, very rare. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this, is I don't see the car salespersons dying, but as far as staffing, I think the roles are going to change from a car salesperson, and they're going to go into a more of a servant's role and be a product specialist, where the consumer is going to lean on them to validate or answer questions that they either saw online, or they just want to validate whether or not you know what you're doing based off of their research online. Agree or disagree?
Right. I don't disagree with that at all, Jeff. The one thing you got to be careful of, or dealers rather have to be careful of, is when they actually post a help wanted ad for those people. We can call them whatever we want to in store, but people search for jobs differently now than they ever have before, especially millennials. And they will search, in Gen Ys, they will search based on what they call themselves on their resume. And no one will call themselves a product specialist on their resume. So I agree with you 100%. Everything you said, I totally agree with. But dealers have to, when they're writing an ad, as an example, the title has to be sales representative, singular, root word, not sales rep, because we want to use what the person calls him or herself on their actual resume. to grab them, to be able to find your ad, because that's how they're going to search their ad. But everything else you said, I agree with 100%.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I can.
Go ahead, Alan Dickey.
Sorry,
Go ahead, Alan Dickey.
Alan Dickey. What I wanted to add to that, I agree with what Alan's saying as far as maintaining some appeal to, how we're going to seek out in new sales representatives. It's something I focus on, a major focus on in my business. But one of the things as far as these salespeople are concerned is targeting these millennials. This is something, that I do and I've opened dealers up to. And it's we were having a conversation before we came live to air where, I was asking, has everyone on the panel received, a college degree in education? It was, to no surprise to me that the answer was no for the most part. And I was explaining to the guys, I think that great salespeople don't fit necessarily into a mold that will follow through, the obedience, if you will, required to achieve these degrees. We're outside-the-box thinkers. We're motivated individuals who want more, faster out of life. And there is a way to target these individuals, get them young while they're moldable clay, and wire them up exactly how we want to. So by the time their demands, in life for the things they want, homes, lives, etc., where their demand for, higher incomes increase, we will have developed them properly enough so they're attaining those levels and then some. And actually, it's a blessing. I think we've got incredible opportunities for new employees moving forward.
Yeah, and I'd like to go to Elise Kephart on this next question because Elise was so far ahead of pioneering personal video messages, and we really wanted her on the show to get her take on these questions as well on what's next. But what is a salesperson's role going to look like in the future? Are we moving towards with all of the BDCs and internet teams? Are we moving towards something where they just filter all the leads and funnel them down and hand them off to a salesperson? Or is it going to evolve closer back towards, one person from the beginning to end? Elise, what are your thoughts?
No, that's a great question. I kind of see it, I guess, a mixture of the two. I'm a firm believer that at the end of the day, a qualified professional salesperson should be capable of knowing how to utilize the phone to build rapport, set appointments, knowing how to work. They should know how to work with the customer face to face, and they should know how to use their CRM and utilize their CRM for emails and videos and follow up. They should have all three of those kind of aspects down, and that essentially is what makes them a qualified salesperson. Now, that being said, even with a skilled salesperson who learns and who masters essentially all three of those things, having another department like the business development center who only focuses on utilizing the phone and emails and so forth to schedule appointments, I think that's a good backup. But I think as a whole, we still see just too many separations of a call room or a business development center, and then salespeople hanging out on the showroom, kind of just waiting for the appointments to come in through the business development center. I don't like that separation. A qualified salesperson needs to be properly trained and qualified to be able to utilize that. Otherwise, we're just going to see a gap over the course of the years where you have this salesperson who's kind of left in the dark ages, not knowing how to utilize the phone and email and CRM, everything that we teach a BDC to do, and then you have your appointment setters. But at the end of the day, especially moving forward, a salesperson, they're going to have to keep up with the times. I mean, they're going to have to know how to do this stuff, or they're going to be left behind.
Alan Ram, you've got to be kind of beside yourself right now. She at least obviously works for Jerry, but you guys agree with that? I'm assuming, Alan, that sounds like a page out of your playbook. Alan,
that's an intelligent way to look at it. I think that so many of these systems that we see in the car business are a result of a failure to train. We do, as an industry, such a crappy job of training people. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I put a Facebook post up. I was lucky when I started selling cars. I worked for a GM that trained Jim Blanton, made sure that I was trained, put me through a 2-week training course, had trainers come in. I was trained, and I was fortunate, because what if I had ended up at one of those dealerships where they don't train you, where it's just, here's a stack of brochures, there's a lot, go get them, Tiger, I would have ended up a statistic like everyone else. So, I think that, what Elise is saying is, and she's absolutely correct, train your people to do their jobs.
Bradley.
If I may, this is Craig Lockard. We are trying to, and I think Alan will get off on this. We are really trying to work with our.
How come everybody's trying to get me riled up?
Yeah, no, really.
No,
Alan's a calm guy. What do you mean?
We're trying to talk dealers into when we're doing Green Pea recruiting and training, is really trying to get them to start these people into the BDC. Put them in there a week, 10 days. Let them start in there before they put them out on the floor, because they'll hear so many more objections over the phone and have some word tracks to go by, and then get them trained on the showroom.
Let me
is something that we're trying to do with dealers.
Let me ask this question.
This is Chris Saraceno.
Yeah, Chris.
Kelly Automotive Group. I'd like to say something what Craig said.
Sure.
I agree 100%. We've been piloting this at our Chrysler Dodge Jeep store, and we have found in the last 6 months, since we have put new sales consultants that have not had experience, and we put them in our BDC for a month or 2 months first. One, they understand the CRM, because you got to imagine how overwhelming it is for somebody new that's young that enters this industry, and they got to know the CRM, they got to know the product, they got to know the sales process, they got to know how to handle phones. They don't know people, they don't know where the bathrooms are. Somebody starts in the BDC, and they learn the CRM, they get to know the people, they start to get confident about our product. They feel part of being successful in making it, and the reason we lose people the first 30, 60, 90 days is they're not comfortable. And if they start in our BDC, we have found that they are so much more prepared. They show up after 60 days on that floor.
Yeah.
They know how.
Go ahead. That's just somebody somebody's talking to somebody.
I'm going to say that they end up showing up on the floor. It's their confidence because they know the product already. They know how to use the CRM. They know people. Everybody is welcoming them then versus that's the new person. It's, that's Joe. That's the guy that's worked in the BDC the last few months. It really, if we want to bring young people into this industry, it's all about setting them up for success. And I know our title of this was, what's the next on the horizon for the automotive industry? What's next on the horizon? Is it's still about people and still about keeping things simple and logical.
Well said. And you know what? Honestly, that is what's next because, and we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about millennials and talk about bringing the next generation into it. But I want to bring Bradley, Marsh Bice, and Corey Mosley into this, and we'll do it in that order. Brad, you can start this answer, and then Corey, and then Marsh. But Brad, I mean, just kind of staying on this line of salespeople, it's just a whole dilemma going back and forth. Salespeople versus internet salespeople, and like there's something different. And I was talking to, I think, Alan again, because Alan and I talk sometimes, Ram. We were talking, I said, we service dealerships. We sell dealerships, and I no longer have an outside sales team, per se. We have an inside sales team. We've sold people a mile away from us and didn't go into their dealership. And so I believe in that. But if a dealer walked into our doors, I wouldn't tell him, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. You're in the flesh. Go over and get on the phone and call into our office from another office in our company and call into my sales team so I can transfer so they can sell you that way. I'd say my guys know how to, my guys know how to do it face to face too. So Brad, don't salespeople need to be trained for all salespeople on how to handle somebody from, we call it cradle to grave. It's really wherever they come from to whenever they buy. Brad, isn't that the right way to do it in your opinion?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. And again, internet salesperson, what's the difference? You're either a salesperson on the phone or on the internet or at the end of a mouse, but you're still a salesperson. And I think it was Ram that said it. The bottom line is everybody tries to come out with all this technology to solve a problem when the real problem is lack of understanding. I don't think people quit in the first 60 days because they're not comfortable. I think they quit in the first 60 days because they think the place is stupid or they're not making any money. And if they're not making any money, now they got to go home and deal with their wife or someone else yelling at them that is just ineffective, and it boils down to training. So if someone were to train people correctly, whether they're on the internet or on the phone or in the showroom or in the service drive, working the service drive like they should be, which none of them are, or at least most of them aren't, or out in the field prospecting, which is where they should be, because a lot of these times they're sitting around the dealership waiting for advertising dollars to bring people in. Well, there's only so many of those. Why aren't we teaching people how to go out and prospect so we get more customers than our advertising dollars are bringing in? So anyway, don't get me started, but yes, I do agree. The training is the problem. You know, I can go into any car dealership.
Do you know, hey, Brad, do you know anything about training? I didn't think you knew anything about training.
I think you got to tell people who Brad is.
Yeah, Brad. Brad, you obviously, I think every major trainer that's out there in the auto industry today is involved with what you do. Brad's the developer, owner, CEO. I don't know, you're the extraordinaire of Lightspeed.
Yeah.
But Brad, you know a thing or two about training, and that's really where it's at, isn't it?
Yes.
So do you, I love it.
All right. Well, you know, we're gonna go over.
Because again, I heard about a CRM. They got to learn the CRM. Well, if whoever made the CRM made it easy, they wouldn't have to learn the CRM. And even if they were a master at the CRM and they suck as a salesperson, they're still going to lose. They're still going to quit. You know, we got to teach. There's no more salespeople. I don't want to blanket the industry because there's a lot of great salespeople still in it, but I think we're hiring people out of college with a degree and then saying, go hit the floor and learn your product knowledge. Well, again, product knowledge, that's what the Internet's for. I don't think you're going to be able to go buy cars online. I mean, you technically already can, by the way.
Sure.
But
Yes.
that's irrelevant. You know, I'm going to buy a 458 Ferrari. I'm not going to need to test drive it. I don't give a rat's patootie what it feels like. Just how much is it and what's my best deal and where can I buy it, and then I'll pick it up at the dealership. But those are rare occasions. Most people are always going to go down to a car dealership, and you need to be prepared with trained salespeople with good attitudes, and they've been there a while. And how do you keep them? Show them how to make money. Don't throw them a phone book and tell them to cold call, and then get pissed when they don't close deals. Like, come on, people, this isn't rocket science.
And Chris mentioned that they work in the BDC. We put them in the BDC, and we have them work there and feel comfortable. How about what are we doing to train them before they get in the BDC, to train them to make these calls? That's the key. That's what I want to hear about. And dealers, our biggest, as trainers in the automotive industry, I think our biggest, I talked to Laura Madison about this the other day. I said, our biggest competition is this notion in the car business that training is optional. There are so many, and I'm going to be pushing this issue here coming up. I was thinking about this. I'm at Sands Chevrolet in Glendale, Arizona right now. Fantastic dealership. I'm going to do a meeting here, and I was talking to the GM, Glenn Drobny, and he said one of his biggest issues is still, it's finding salespeople. And there are so many dealerships out there that are great dealerships. They train, they treat their people the right way, but on the flip side is that they're crappy dealerships that they don't train, they don't spend a nickel on their sales staff. And here's what I'm going to say: salespeople need to quit those dealerships, leave, and go somewhere else. They need to walk out of there today and go somewhere else.
Well,
Graham, that's the biggest problem. That's why you said they need to find salespeople, because they don't know how to create salespeople. I used to take green peas right from scratch, right out of the fast food restaurant I found them in, and next thing you know, they're selling 15, 20 cars. Why? Because I motivated them and I taught them what to do. The traffic was coming in, and guess what? When the traffic slowed down, I showed them how to work the service drive, and then when the service drive slowed down, I showed them how to go find their friends and family and prospect. And if you do that consistently and effectively, guess what? The rest of it takes care of itself. And CRMs, again, I love CRMs. They're obviously great for organizations. But the problem isn't someone doesn't know how to operate the CRM. The problem is they don't know how to prospect.
That's what's missing in a lot of these dealerships as well, is they don't have the leadership. They've got people instructing sales representatives, but they're not willing to grab the phone and show them firsthand that they're capable.
Yep.
You have to serve before you can lead. We've heard that before, right?
That's a good point, Alan.
And we're going to move over to Marsh Bison. I'm going to change gears just ever so slightly. We just heard Alan Ram mention Laura Madison. She's focusing on training salespeople through social media and personal branding, messaging, things like that. And now that personal branding for salespeople specifically, has become such a big thing, and I'm going to ask Marsh to respond to this. I personally believe that the days coming where instead of waiting on an up and choosing who you're going to wait on, it's going to be the other way around. I mean, consumers will be choosing salespeople before they arrive at the dealerships, I think, in the future. Marsh, what do you say about that?
Well, I think it's, the branding aspect of it. Number one, it's free. Which is crazy, and it's so underutilized. And so, I've got a salesperson who had been with me for many, many years, who was a 12-car guy, who is now selling about 25 a month now. And his biggest jump was through social media. And what he decided to do is every single customer that he worked with and sold, he got creative. And number one, just started taking pictures with him, and then got creative from there. But he's always in the social media stream. So when customers are pulling up, and it's more of an illusion than anything, where all of a sudden it looks like that he's selling, 5 cars at a time, because the way that it's all, and he spaces it out, he times it out, they're timely posts, and they're creative, they're fun, and that's the kind of stuff that we really have to get creative with, and sales managers have to embrace that. Okay, if you don't understand it, well, hell, don't snub your nose up at it. That's part of it. Get creative with them. Help them out. Understand what they're, the millennials that are working with us now, they're so savvy. Well, get off your butt and go figure out what are they looking at? What apps are they using? And help gain an understanding on those kind of things and help them out.
Corey Mosley, let me ask you a real quick kind of coupling on that as well. Going off of what Marsh just said, okay, about this particular salesman that doubled his sales by using social media, basically using the tools that are there. Okay, that's the fact. Now let's couple that with what Brad Lee said. And Brad said, hey, I can go to McDonald's or go to a fast food restaurant or go to find the waiter or waitress and turn them into a rock star, by training them. So let's put those two things together, Corey. It really, that's what it's about. I mean, honestly, anybody that is trained properly to use the tools they're already on, to put themselves in the middle of where people are, is that what it's not about, Corey?
So here's the deal. I've been taking a bunch of notes because anytime we stack 9 people on, I want to get everything out right now in case the pendulum doesn't come back. But as always, thanks for having me here. To answer that question, I've just been jotting notes as Alan's been talking, and Brad and everybody to kind of bring this all full circle about training. And I think there's a couple things that will lead down the personal branding. I think one, there's this idea of a holistic versus realistic approach, meaning in a perfect world, yes, the salespeople will do everything and do their job, and their job description will be trained to do that. A lot of dealers clearly have challenges with making that happen. So you have your BDCs, your hybrids, your internet departments. So there's kind of what the politics of the day dictated the store. So there is this kind of holistic, realistic battle that's been going on. But what that connects to is to the nature of the training or the quality of the training. And it's very timely. I was on a phone call this morning. We do a fair amount of work for the manufacturers, and a lot of times we compete for that business against institutional companies that just create content. They didn't live the content. They're not really of the automotive space. They go out and try to curate stuff and turn it into training material and then push that from the manufacturer down to the dealer, and the dealer can check the box to say he's getting training because the manufacturer's paying for it. The problem is they have a great deal of companies that are coming in that are designing content and training but aren't really retail people. There is no retail realism, as I like to say, connected to the actual content that we're leading them down the path. So bringing that all down the road here and connecting to your personal branding question, most people, here's the problem that you have inside a store. A person, and there's some people on here who are a product of that also, known a lease for years, you get a situation where the individual becomes so popular about building their own brand, and they become so popular in a store and getting their following and all these happen. All of the things that you should be doing if you have a commitment to your career, you of course should be leveraging every aspect you can to drive your income, but you have this problem that occurs between the dealership entity and the individual, which is why most dealerships are not investing in the elements of training that have to do with building your brand and creating more referrals and these resources that people are talking about using, social, using LinkedIn more, doing your own podcast, some of these things that the names that we know out here that have done well with that, Laura Madison, Elise. So that's the problem, is the dealer, you have a problem where they don't want to invest so much in that idea of getting that knowledge disseminated on, I want them coming to our website. I want to control it. I don't want them to go into CoreyHondaGuy.com and starting to build their own base, because then, they could go and all the fears that come out from the ownership level. So I think that's a challenge that you have. And a salesperson wanting to do more, wanting to be more professional, wanting to build his business better, but then battling his own dealership because they're doing too good a job at it.
Yeah, great word, Corey.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe, but we're already out of time, so I'm going to ask each of you, and I'll call you out by name as we go down, but I'm going to ask you to just close out 60 seconds or less, your final thoughts to dealers and how they can reach you. I'll start with you, Alan Dickey.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. You can reach me on all social media feeds, Alan Dickey, as well as my website, alandickey.com, ALANDICKIE.com. This was a great talk. I'm very passionate about it. This is actually one of the main focuses of my business. I want to encourage dealers out there that the hiring opportunities and the talent that's out there is endless. I agree with a lot of the panel's comments about making sure we're supporting them. And again, like I had said, you can't lead until you serve. One of the ways that we can ensure the success on our sales floor is by not only being able to identify these individuals, which there is a way and ability to do so, but also make sure they are under the mentorship and tutelage of competent, proven salespeople. And this sometimes leads us into, early promotions. A lot of times you would have to have 10, 20 years in the business before you could sniff the manager's chair. There's opportunities, and we need to identify the good people who are ready to make those jumps as early as 18 to 36 months, and we can be very successful. I do it for a living.
Let's jump to Jeff Collins. Jeff Collins, I know that you said something earlier here, but give us a 60 to 90 second closing. What you think is right on the horizon, and then tell dealers how they can get a hold of you.
Well, I'm on all social platforms. Twitter's Collins J13. Look me up on Facebook, Google Plus. This was a great panel. I will say this: the topic was what's next, and it seems that we kind of gravitated again towards training and personnel, and I don't feel like we really tapped into what's next in the car business, whether it's the next year or the next 5 years. I do agree that personnel is 100% spot on, but what's really on the cusp coming in 2016? That's what I really would have liked to have heard today.
Yeah, and you're right, and it's extremely difficult when you have a panel of this size. Jeff, let me ask you this, man. You're there. You're on the blacktop, and this is you run several stores from an e-commerce perspective. What is next? Give us in your opinion. Give us your opinion real quick, Jeff. What is next? I mean, if you had to pick one thing, that really dealers need to pay attention to coming into the end of 2015, the beginning of 2016.
It's digital. You've got 3 types of guys in the car business right now, right? And one is they're drawn to change. The other ones, they hide from it. And of course, you've got your tried and true guys that just have their roots, and they've got their big guns out, trying to protect the way they've always done things. The next big change is going to be, it's going to be your big box companies like AutoNation, Warren Buffett, and everyone else soaking up mom and pop dealerships. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really dynamically. You're going to see some huge changes in your facilities, the way fixed ops operates on a daily basis. I think you're going to see single point fixed operation stores, single point to compete with the independents. And I think that's another whole nother topic there, but
no, absolutely, Jeff. And you know what? We knew going into this that there would be necessary for part 2 and even 3 because there's no way to fit that into a panel of any size. But I'd like to invite you back and anybody that would want to come back, and we have others that we're in the on deck, so to speak, for the show, and we can discuss more of this because this is not a one-time topic any way you look at it. And we didn't even get into millennials. We're just simply out of time. Jeff, thank you for being with us, man, and it's always great to hear from those on the blacktop. Speaking of that, Marsh Bice, I know you're also in the middle of desk and deals there, man. You know, so tell us how dealers can reach you, and also leave your closing thoughts.
I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I guess would be my top ones. It's Marsh Bice, MARSH. Bice, B as in boy, UICE. So talking about what's next. What's next is there is no next if we're not willing to make movement, and so we got to stop pointing and talking and reminiscing about what yesteryear was, and we've got to start taking action. And so what we've got to do is we got to give our people wings, but we don't give them any roots. And the roots that's the training. And it's taking what you have right now with what you've got. And if you're a one-man gang, then you take the initiative and you start creating the change that you'd like to see. So stop waiting for somebody to come in or somebody to be purchased to come in and help your store. You start helping your store by first bettering yourself. You take that initiative, and then you start creating the seeds and start creating that root system, so that way you have a better system in place for the many years to come.
Well said.
Well said. And Brad Lee.
Yep.
Well, we don't know where what's your Twitter handle again, Brad?
That's right here.
Thank
there
you,
you
Brad.
go. At the real Brad Lee. That's LEA.
Thank you, Brad.
And then Alan. Look at Alan.
I think they thought they were at the background of the Today Show.
Hey, David. One thing I'd like to say, because I don't need to tell anyone how to get a hold of me now, but at the end of the day, what's next is training, or like the gentleman before me just said, there really might not be a next, or it's going to be a dismal next. The bottom line, if I could say anything to dealers in the world, is listen, the answer's right in front of your face. The people are right in front of your face. If you train them effectively, and I say effectively because a lot of people say, well, we've trained and it doesn't work. Well, it didn't work because you didn't do it effectively. That's the problem. So I had two questions. One was for Alan, and I was wondering if he put his pants on for this. And the second one is basically, if anybody wants to learn how to train effectively, you can get a hold of me. I'll direct you to the right people, but train effectively or they may not be a next. That's all I got.
It's great. Great point. And then we'll go to Corey Mosley.
Hey, thanks again, as always, for having me. A couple things. I've been looking at the Twitter feed, so I know there's a lot of pressure on the what's next piece that there definitely have to be a part 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to leave with the idea that one of the things I was going to comment on today was not so much the technology side, but is the idea of customer experience and focusing on how we're able to change the customer experience and continue to march down the path to create separation. Everybody builds a good car now. Half of them have the same designers. One guy left, Audi, and then went to Kia, and this guy left here. So you've got similar products. I always joke for all my travelers, tell me that you can pick the car out of the national car rental line from 100 feet away, and you know exactly who's driving what, because they all look the same. There's so much similarity. So anything that we can do, a large percentage of the dealerships are under construction in the country. So everybody's going to have new doorknobs, and they're going to have new floors, and they're all going to have Keurig machines soon. So what are we changing about the customer experience? What are we changing about the separation factor in the dealership? Of course, we've been talking about training. That's going to play a role in it. But what is the strategy? And that is a conversation that becomes an issue. What is the strategy that we're putting into place? And when all the smart people in the room get together, as I like to say, and make these decisions, where is the advice coming from? Is the advice coming from people who are simply inside the room and they can only comment on their best level of experience or best level of education? So they're going to have to go outside to try to create new strategies, and that's kind of where I was going. So always glad to be here and always glad to come back and expound on this kind of stuff.
Well, thank you, Corey. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Chris Saraceno?
First I want to thank you for inviting me, and I think we had the panel and the listeners are great, but I do want to remind everybody, I think we had some great suggestions, but about training, it's sort of like my point of view is it's like a preacher on a Sunday. It's much easier to preach the Ten Commandments and live them. And it's much easier to talk about and train people than make things happen. So I will tell you from a day-to-day basis, when you have 80, 90 sales consultants and 300-400 people, you could train all you want. You just got to make sure you get the right people. If you don't have motivated, hardworking, competitive people that want to be great, you could train all you want. It's not going to happen. This business is not for everybody, and you want to find people that want to be great and then train them. But it's not as simple as just saying, "Hey, train somebody and they're going to be a great salesperson." It's got to be the right people. You got to keep recruiting. You got to keep finding the best people out there, and it's a never-ending job. And the biggest challenge that dealers have is they binge hire. They hire in batches and then they stop. So it's never-ending.
Well, then that's probably right up Craig Lockhart's alley to give us some closing wisdom on that, Craig.
Yeah, just real quick, Craig Lockhart and Automax Recruiting, we are everywhere, obviously, on social media. I also just recently, we acquired 50% of a company called Recruitment HQ. A little different spin on what we do. We phone interview all the applicants. We score them out with a very unique scoring system, schedule interviews for the dealer, and then all that information is available to the dealer. Automax Recruiting and Training.com or recruitmenthq.com. I'd like to just really quickly go through two quick stories. I think Corey will relate to this. Marsh Weiss happens to be a client of ours. He'll relate to it, and I think Chris will as well. About a little over a year ago, a dealer friend of mine calls me. He's got a salesman he loves that we recruited for him, but they were going to dust him. He was late for work every single day. Young guy, 22 years old, bright, had all the potential in the world, was late every single day, selling 6, 7, 8 cars a month. I said, okay, I'll call him. So I call him. I said, look, kid, you're about to get dusted. Why are you late every day? He says, well, I stay up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, well, you can't stay up and party. And he's, no, I'm not partying. I said, well, what are you doing? He says, I want to be a record producer, and I got this Mickey Mouse, these are my words, Mickey Mouse recording studio in my basement. And I'm working on that while I'm selling cars. I said, look, how much is it going to cost you to put a real-life record producing studio together? He says, probably about $250,000. I said, well, you're never going to get it making $3,500 a month, what you're doing now. Do this, and that to shorten the story up, and make $85,000, $90,000, or $100,000 a year, because supposedly you have the potential to do that, and then you can get your real dream. You got to find out what a millennial or a Gen Y, and I think Corey would agree with this, what their true why is. Now, one or two things are going to happen with this kid, and we're a year into this. The kid made $92,000 last year. One or two things are going to happen. Either he's going to have 2 good years put together where he creates $500,000 in gross profit for his dealer and leaves, and then shame on the dealer if the dealer doesn't retain the clients that he created during those 2 years.
Right.
Or he has saved the money and just goes and does his real why. But if you're going to bring those people on, you got to figure out what they really, really want. Only 1 or 2 things are going to happen. They're going to fall in love with the money in the car business and they're going to make it, or they're going to leave and they made you a lot of money in the past. And I think anybody'd sign up for hiring a kid that we know in the next 2 years is going to create $1 million in gross profit.
Great
The
point.
last thing I want to finish with real quickly, and we talked about it pre-call, and that's about college grads. We deal with a lot of publicly traded companies, and Chris will get this, being a dealer, and I know how he recruits people. People have to have an intellect, the ability to learn, and let's just blanket statement say maybe a college grad, maybe a college grad nowadays might have more the ability to have the intellect to be able to grasp some of the training and things that need to be done. The way to get college grads into your dealership, and the dealers that ask us to get them college grads, what we use as a hook, and just remember this, dealers putting it in your ad, 70% of the people that are graduating from college in 2015 are going to have $31,000 plus in student debt. Only 17% of those people are going to have jobs. So if we can get them, the hook to get them is a student tuition reimbursement program. put it into their comp plan, make it part of the guarantee, make it an incentive, but pay them $350 a month or whatever towards their tuition, and that's the hook to get them into the store. Then we train them and start making
Craig,
money.
I love it, man.
And thank you so much for having me.
No.
All you guys are awesome.
Oh, awesome! And we saved the Ben. My producer's throwing crap at me. But here's the deal: we saved Alan for last here. Alan, man, somebody tweeted in that man, it's scary to get Alan going. The flames are scaring me. That's what they said on Twitter. But Alan, get your closing words here. And hey, by the way, before he does that, yes, let's have a show on training, and we would love to have a show on training. And anybody on this panel that's a trainer, we want to bring you guys back and let's do it. Let's do it upright.
Yeah,
Alan.
Good.
Close it out.
That'll cheer the bar business.
We'll have a train off.
Here's what I don't understand. How are you guys run out of time? Is the internet closing?
It's not. Yeah, no, yeah. We don't. I mean, because we have a guest.
We have another guest.
We have another guest waiting, but that's all. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not like we're going to get kicked off.
Alan, you're a beauty. You're a beauty.
All right, I've got to throw some grenades, right? That's what
Absolutely.
everybody wants.
Yes,
no,
sir.
but the thing about college grads, I'm going to address that. I don't have a college diploma.
Hey, Alan.
Bradley, do you have a college diploma?
Alan, real quick, Jerry Tebow called and wanted to know if he can monitor your call. I'm just kidding. You know what? I took a cheap shot there. Go ahead.
Ram, I have 7 college degrees, 3 are MBAs, and they all work for me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about college. I don't think that college grads are necessarily the whole answer. I wouldn't have, if that was a requirement, I wouldn't have got the job. I don't have a college diploma, but I definitely have a DD 214. So I'll put that up against most college diplomas. This is funny though. It's kind of like a Republican debate. You guys ask a question, then we answer whatever we want to, right?
Yeah.
So
That's all right.
here's what's next, okay? Somebody wanted to know, what's next. Again, I don't necessarily think we need to look at what's next. We need to do a better job with the things that we should have been doing to this point. Train your staff, hold them accountable, and I feel like a broken record, but it's a theme. And I think what might be next is dealers holding salespeople and sales managers holding dealers accountable. And I'm going to say this again. If you're a salesperson or you're a sales manager and you've got a dealer that doesn't spend a nickel training you, doesn't spend anything on your development, you need to quit. You need to quit and go somewhere where they do train you and they do give you an opportunity to succeed. And hey, anyone wants to call me. If you're a salesperson or manager, hey, give me a call. And I'm happy. I've got dealerships all over the country, as many of these other people on this panel do. I'm happy to refer you to good dealers. Dealers like Sands Chevrolet and some of my clients that would be thrilled to have you. So that's all I've got in closing.
Guys, thank you so much.
8214.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll talk to you guys soon. All right, really quick, Mike, just give me the thumbs up when we can bring Christina on. And guys, I wouldn't go anywhere. Listen, the next up on Auto Dealer Live is Christina Davies. And listen, here's the deal. We know we have listeners that really are looking forward to hearing what Christina has to say because they've told us, don't go anywhere because she's coming on as we speak. We're not going to leave. We're not going to break. She's got a hard time to get off here of the phone in about, I think about 7 or 8 minutes. So we're going to give her all of that time. Dave, I'm really excited. Mike, give me the thumbs up. I'm really excited. Go ahead and introduce Christina, but I'm excited about the fact that she's going to show us how to really brand ourselves and take it to another level in PR.
Absolutely. Salespeople all over been waiting to hear from Christina. And Christina Davies, welcome to the show. Best-selling author of PR for Anyone. Come on.
Hey, Christina, by the way, I've already promised out like 10 books, so I'm going to have to Dave's going to have to get with you after so we can buy some books from you and get them here because we're giving them to the top 10 influencers on Twitter today. And so, anyway.
Well, that's great. Well, Christina, I mean, you heard some of our panel there probably at the end, and it's no secret that branding is becoming something that salespeople, automotive salespeople, have latched onto. They're experiencing success with, but it's very young in our industry, really. So we were so happy to have you come on and maybe share some branding tips, some way to get publicity, some way that individuals can really begin to stand out in sales.
Let me ask you this way, Christina, actually, because I'm impressed by one thing I read, that you went from zero PR, period, boom. And there's people watching right now that literally go, I have 50 followers on Twitter, and you know what? I am completely invisible. That's what they're saying. And how do I do what Christina did? So I'm going to ask it a different way. Tell our listeners how you went from zero to within 1 year appearing on over 50 different media outlets. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you have to get creative. You got to think outside of the box. What can you offer that's different, that's newsworthy, that's fun, that that an audience will want to watch? And I'll tell you a really cool, really smart thing that a car dealership in my area did this past winter. And I'm always looking for stuff like this because I do a lot of training and a lot of teaching, and I have this clip. But we got a lot of snow. I live in D.C., and they went to the dealership and were showing how they had to get all the snow off of the cars because there was just snow everywhere. And I was like, oh, this is brilliant. You've got a salesperson there. You've got the big sign in the back. And it wasn't about the dealership. It wasn't about the cars that they sell. It was about the weather, but it was a great on-location shot. So you just have to come up with just unique, different things like that. And I was thinking a lot about this interview. I think that your car salespeople need to liken themselves to realtors. Mm-hmm. What realtors have been doing a lot. They're very well. They buy house probably less than they buy, but you've got to touch your customers at least 7 times. So you got to be sending out newsletters. You've got to be touching them. You've got to be asking for referrals, and just stay in front of them with not buy. Give them good information. Tell them about the car they bought. 30 days, 60 days, at least once a month, be touching these people so that you're always front of mind.
Christina, something I'm a sales person and manager and sales trainer here, typically within our own company. We, just been a passion of mine. So for years in sales, for 20 plus years that I've done professional sales, very good at it. Something that I've always been taught. My father taught me how to sell, best salesperson I know. And looking back, some of the things going along, and I'm also involved in ministry and different things of that nature in my life, and I'm very familiar with touches and that concept through assimilation. But looking at those two areas, let me kind of just tell you, salesperson, you can call up, and some salespeople, think they got to call up and go, hey, are you ready to buy? Call the next day. Hey, you told me to call you back. Are you ready to buy? And something I've always trained our salespeople to do is if let's say the person gets off the phone with you and they say, okay, call me on Friday. Well, if you wait till Friday, things are going to get cold. But how about the next day? Let's say they're a Ford dealership, and tell me if this is what you're talking about. Email them an article on Ford. Hey, I saw this article, just thinking of you. Talk to you Friday. The next day, the next day you see something or something comes up and you shoot them, a phone call, leave a voicemail, hey, and purposely get their voicemail. Hey, Joe, just heard something now, just thinking of you, and I wanted to give you a call and let you know that I sent something to you. I hope you got it. Hey, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. And it's the same thing with journalists. And I do this very well, and this is why I have such great relationships with journalists and why I get so much media coverage. I don't always pitch myself. I pitch them other stories. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I just got an email from my local MC because I pitched them somebody I thought would be a great story for them. So that keeps me front of mind for entrepreneurial stories and things like that. And they're like, wow, she's great. She's giving us, she's booking all these stories for us. So it's the exact same thing. You want to stay front of mind in front of potential customers. And that's a great way to do it. Just continue to provide value to them, which allows you to touch them on a regular basis.
Yeah, and Christina, wouldn't you agree with me that being at a dealership, they're already at an advantage because they have this major landmark that everybody's familiar with in the community, right? We had a salesperson just recently that was able to get some media coverage because he participated in a national child safety seat awareness, and they did it there at the dealership. Come by with your car and your child seat and make sure that it's secure, and we'll test it out for you and that kind of thing. And I think that's exactly what you've been sharing with salespeople is how to get that type of coverage, right?
And what that salesperson needs to do is get that video clip and send that out when he's talking to people that have kids. Hey, look what we did. Look, this is, I'm really good at this. If when you come buy a car from me, this is something that I'm passionate about, and I'll make sure your kids are safe, or I'll make sure you're in the safest vehicle, or, something along those lines, because you don't want to just get a media hit and not do anything with it. And it really gives you credibility. So you want to use it on and on and on.
Christina, Bobby, which is one of our listeners, also a person at a dealership. She's at Sign on the Line. She just tweeted in something I think is pretty neat, talking about the question that I asked you a minute ago and some of your answers. She said, get to know your customer, do some research she prefaced in a non-creepy way, find something about them so that you know what content to send them and how to build rapport. What do you say about that?
Absolutely, and it's not even, you don't have to do research. Listen to your customer when they come in. I mean, it's a long, drawn-out ordeal when you look for a car or buy a car. Listen to what they're talking about. Are they talking about kids? Are they empty nesters? Are they vacationing a lot? Listen to what they're saying. Even if you sneak back while they're looking and write down some notes so you have things that you can, I remember that you said X, Y, and Z. Well, what do you think about this? And that's just a great way to keep yourself front of mind.
Let me ask you real quick, too, just off this is something maybe you're not familiar with. One of our past guests just a few minutes ago at the end, he's a recruit. He is a recruiter and does a lot with automotive recruiting, and especially we're looking at ways in the auto business to bring this millennial, this next generation, this young generation into the auto business. One of the things he brought up, and maybe listen to this and see if there's a way that if you were in a dealership, okay, would be able to work this in. He said college graduates on average come out of college with around $30,000+ of college debt. He said put together a college tuition reimbursement. I like that idea, even with our company. I mean, if you were a car salesperson and you're branding yourself and your dealership offered that, I mean, is that something that you see could somehow help from a PR standpoint even?
Oh, absolutely. It's new. Nobody's doing that, right?
No.
So if that's something that you're offering to college grads, that's a great time to pitch that in June. Graduation time. Look what we're doing. Look how we're giving back to our community and to the people we believe in. And again, it's just the spin and making it newsworthy. And wouldn't you want to see a story like that? It's a feel-good story. It
is. It may even gain some regional coverage, some coverage from outlets and media, which is obviously what PR is all about.
Right.
And Christina, if individual salespeople or even dealers possibly had a story that they wanted to share or thought of a great idea, what would be the next step? What advice would you give them to capture the attention of the media or a media person?
That's a good question.
Just come up with a great hook. That's your subject line. Don't say in the subject line, I have a story idea for you. That's not catchy. I just sent one in, like I said, for this person that I know, and it's somebody who wrote a book, someone who has ADD, but he built a $20 million business. That's pretty impressive, and that was my subject line. So you want to catch them with that, and then you want that email to be short and concise, boom, 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 let them scan it, and then let them contact you.
So in the case that Dave just mentioned, maybe that headline that you send over would be, car dealer offers to pay college tuition off, or something to that effect.
Yep. They'd be what? What do you mean? What are they doing?
And people
the key is to get them to read your email.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they get so bad, depending on your market. If you're in the top market, they could be getting 500 to 1,000 emails a day. You've got to stand out in all that noise.
Love it. And, I know that you have a hard time here for another minute or so, so I want dealers to be able to get a hold of you. But really quick let me ask you this. And then I'll let you close out with the info on it. But you're available, if I understand correctly as well, if somebody wanted to hire you to help them with consulting. Okay. All right. So let me ask this then before you give that information out. Real quick, I mean, what are some ways? What are just some simple organic ways of where they can put this information? Where do they start? Do they drop it on? I mean, what are some quick ideas like that?
I think that, like I said, use realtors as examples, and that's something maybe that dealerships should be doing. But I think that salespeople should be on, CRMs like a MailChimp. It's free. If I can use it, anyone can use it. It's just a drag and drop email system. Brand yourself, do a nice header at the top, put your picture, put your car, dealership, whatever you want to do, but make it more about you than the dealer. And that way you're always sending the same thing. They're going to start to recognize that. Create a Facebook group if you want. Something, use social media, but always be consistent with the branding. Whatever you put out there, that picture on Facebook, Twitter, your newsletter should always be the same, so people always recognize you and start to see, John Smith from Atlanta Ford. It's always the same thing that's coming front of mind.
Love it. Christine, people are actually tweeting in and saying, love you, not sure how to spell her name or what her handle is. So tell dealers so that you can get some followers here and some people that actually may reach out to you, and great tips. Tell them how they can reach you and how they can find you.
Yes, and I do corporate training. I mean, this is what I love to do. So yeah, if anybody wants, bring me to a dealership and I can do a whole training to the whole sales force. But Christina is CHRISTINA at PR4anyone.com, and it's PRFOR. And the website is PR for Anyone. There's a lot of great videos on there. So tons of free information too.
The books
and if you need, or just reach out to me. I'd love to talk to people. PR for Anyone on Twitter, PR for Anyone on Facebook. I'm very easy to find.
Christina, will you do us a favor? When the books that we get from you, will you sign all 10 of them?
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Awesome. And if you just do me a favor when you sign them, just put the hashtag Auto Dealer Live in there, so when we give them out, I appreciate that. Well, I definitely would like to have you back, and I want to talk to Dave about getting a hold of you and even bringing you here to our company as well. So awesome. Love what you're doing.
All right, well, thank you, and I'd love to talk to you all more.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Christina.
Christina Daves. Daves or Davies?
Daves.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Man, what an awesome show, Dave.
Very cool show.
I knew what would happen.
Oh,
I knew
man.
that basically hey man, Alan's funny. Alan Rams said, hey, it's like a Republican debate. You ask a question and they answer what they want.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your name, Bradley? I'll tell you what, you need a freaking train. All right, Alan, so what do you think, Alan, about the internet? Well, I'll tell you what, you need a train. Hey, you know what though, man? I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, it was fun.
You got the gloves came off. The inhibitions went away, and you got to hear from the heart of the people that were on the show today. Did you guys like it?
Come on now.
Blow us up on Twitter. Do me a favor. Listen, it's still on. It goes through what time, Mike? What time does our Tweeter leader go through?
5:30.
Till 5:30.
Eastern Standard Time.
45 minutes from right now is when the contest is over. So if you started late, it's okay. Hashtag Auto Dealer Live. That's the way it gets calculated. It's done through an app we use or a software, what have you. But we're going to give to the top influencer. We're going to give you an Auto Dealer Live mic, as well as a signed copy, autograph PR for Anyone book from Christina Daves.
Nice.
And then the other 9, 2 through 10. You won't get a mic, but you will get an autographed copy of Christina's book. That's pretty cool.
That is
Top
very
10
cool.
influencers. So, hey, it's wide open. Mike, have Mikey send out, probably already has been doing it, who's in the lead right now with 45 minutes left in the contest. 45 minutes, Dave. Hashtag Auto Dealer Live. You can tweet anything you want, okay? And whoever's at top gets a mic and a book, and 2 through 9 get a book.
Still plenty of time to be a winner.
Absolutely. Hey, September 3rd, you don't want to miss. We have Digital Dealer show. We have some execs from Digital Dealer coming on to talk about the conference, and then we're loading it up with auto professionals. We got dealers and auto professionals on the show that day to talk about the car business. You do not want to miss September 3rd.
Yeah, and then September 10th, we're having, the next up will be a special Great American Automotive panel.
Sponsored by
the Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk. And that's going to be a really cool show because we're going to wrap that panel around finance. And not only that, Dave, there's a special surprise there because there's an actual finance conference going on in Vegas, and we're going to bring some people right in live from Vegas.
Yeah, we got some top F&I people on, and we're going to talk about, too, something we didn't get to today on that show, and that is the subject that's hot right now on the elimination of the finance department in a dealership. So that's going to be brought up.
Yeah,
and
they're closing it all down in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I'm sure that's going to be heavily debated on that show.
That'll be
start
fun.
weighing in now. That's the next up.
And speaking of Vegas, if you guys are going to be a digital dealer in Vegas this year, give us a heads up. We'd love to meet you guys in person. I will be obviously the bodyguard for Dave and Dave, so don't bum rush them.
Oh, great. So we're going to get attacked. Because if
we
you're our
always-
bodyguards, we're going to get shot.
Yeah, because we always get bum rushed, right?
Yeah, we get bum rushed everywhere we go. The only place I get bum rushed is Chick-fil-A, man, when I go. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you this real quick. I know we're freaking over. If anybody's still listening, hey, Digital Dealer, the reason that's important, we have 3. We're there, all of Digital Dealer. I'm going to be doing a leadership workshop called Leading with Significance, as well as a sales workshop called 4x100 Sales Training. But listen, if you're there, come to those workshops, meet me, support what we're doing. We appreciate that. But we're going to be there at a booth all weekend, Dave, and we're going to be doing 3 major segments. We're going to be doing tons of interviews all through the conference, but we're going to do 3 segments that are actually endorsed by Digital Dealer. They put them in their agendas. Check out digitaldealer.com and find out when those are. But one of them is Women Who Rock Auto. And listen, we've got several on the panel. We'd like to talk to you. If you are a woman and you rock auto and you're going to be at Digital Dealer, get a hold of us and let us know you'd like to be on that panel, because we're auditioning now for the last couple of spots on that panel. That's going to be, there's going to be hundreds of people standing around that panel watching you on that panel, Women Who Rock Auto. And we've got 2 other panels. One of them is going to be really a cradle to grave type BDC boardroom panel in Digital Dealer in Tampa in April. That panel was Tom Stuker, Alan Ram, Bill Wittenmeyer, and Mike Overy. And let me tell you something, man. It drew a crowd. I mean, it grew and swelled. And we literally had over 7,000 people watch that show. After it happened, we had 7,000 people go on our website and watch that show in 24 hours.
Yeah, that was just on the site.
Just on our site. Okay. So we're going to have that panel, part 2 again, and stay tuned for who's going to be on that panel. And
we'll also have a Keep It or Crush It panel.
My wife, sorry, I have to miss out on that panel.
There's a rumor floating around that the number one Fiat
my
dealer,
wife is, by the way, the number 1 woman who rocks auto.
Come on.
The woman who rocks me. Come on, boom, boom, baby. You should see what you're wearing today.
There's a rumor floating around in the atmosphere that Lisa Copeland might be joining us for that women's panel in Vegas.
Or she's going to kill us, she said.
One of the two.
That was I think that was the way it is. In the 3rd panel, we're going to keep it as a surprise here until maybe next week, but you don't want to miss it. The next up is a bunch of great stuff on Auto Dealer Live. Who is going to win? Here's what I want the next week, because we're going to walk out of the studio and we're going to look at this. Hashtag Auto Dealer Live. Who's going to win this? Okay? I want you to say hashtag Auto Dealer Live, I am. Hashtag Auto Dealer Live, I am. Tweet that right now. Let's see who's going to win it. Ready? That counts, by the way. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.